loose-lipped, slack-jawed face, a pervading dullness. "One of our best sensitives," a man with a beard, several places down the table on Dallona's right, said. "You remember him, Dallona. He produced that communication from the discarnate assassin, Searzim. Normally, he's a low-grade imbecile, but in trance state, he's wonderful. And there can be no argument that the communications he produces originates in his own mind. He doesn't have mind enough of his own to operate that machine." Garnon of Roxor rose to his feet, the others rising with him. He unfastened a jewel from the front of his tunic and handed it to Dallona. "Here, my lady Dallona, I want you to have this," he said. "It's been in the family of Roxor for 6 generations, but I know that you will appreciate and cherish it." He twisted a heavy ring from his left hand and gave it to his son. He unstrapped his wristwatch and passed it across the table to the gray-clad upper servant. He gave a pocket case containing writing tools, slide rule, and magnifier to the bearded man on the other side of Dallona. "Something you can use, Dr. Harnash," he said. Then he took a belt, with a knife and holstered pistol, from a servant who had brought it to him and gave it to the man with the red badge. "And something for you, Dizzy. The pistol's by Farnor of Yand, and the knife was forged and tempered on Luna." The man with the winged bullet badge took the weapons, exclaiming in appreciation. Then he removed his own belt and buckled on the gift. "The pistol's fully loaded," Garnon told him. Dizzy drew it and checked. A man of his craft took no statement about weapons without verification, then slipped it back into the holster. "Shall I use it?" he asked. "By all means. I had that in mind when I selected it for you." Another man, to the left of Girzon, received a cigarette case and a lighter. He and Garnon hooked fingers and clapped shoulders. "Our views haven't been the same, Garnon," he said, "but I've always valued your friendship. I'm sorry you're doing this now. I believe you'll be disappointed." Garnon chuckled. "Would you care to make a small wager on that, Nirzav?" he asked. "You know what I'm putting up. If I'm proven right, will you accept the volitionalist theory as verified?" Nirzav chewed his mustache for a moment. "Yes, Garnon, I will." He pointed toward the blankly white screen. "If we get anything conclusive on that, I'll have no other choice." "All right, friends," Garnon said to those around him. "Will you walk with me to the end of the room?" Servants removed a section from the table in front of him to allow him and a few others to pass through. The rest of the guests remained standing at the table, facing toward the inside of the room. Garnon's son, Girzon, and the gray-mustached Nirzav of Shona walked on his left, Dallona of Hadron and Dr. Harnash of Hosh on his right. The gray-clad upper servant and 2 or 3 ladies, and a nobleman with a small chin-beard, and several others joined them. Of those who had sat close to Garnon, only the man in the black tunic with the scarlet badge hung back. He stood still, by the break in the table, watching Garnon of Roxor walk away from him. Then Dizzy the assassin drew the pistol he had lately received as a gift, hefted it in his hand, thumbed off the safety, and aimed at the back of Garnon's head. They had nearly reached the end of the room when the pistol cracked. Dallona of Hadron started, almost as though the bullet had crashed into her own body, then caught herself and kept on walking. She closed her eyes and laid a hand on Dr. Harnash's arm for guidance, concentrating her mind upon a single question. The others went on as though Garnon of Roxor were still walking among them. "Look!" Harnash of Hosh cried, pointing to the image in the visiplate ahead. "He's under control!" They all stopped short, and Dizzy, holstering his pistol, hurried forward to join them. Behind, a couple of servants had approached with a stretcher and were gathering up the crumpled figure that had, a moment ago, been Garnon. A change had come over the boy at the writing machine. His eyes were still glazed with the stupor of the hypnotic trance, but the slack jaw had stiffened, and the loose mouth was compressed in a purposeful line. As they watched, his hands went out to the keyboard in front of him and began to move over it, and as they did, letters appeared on the white screen on the left. Garnon of Roxor, discarnate.